Hi, everyone. My name is Chantel George. I am the CEO and founder of Sisters in Sales, the largest membership network for women of color in professional sales careers. I have the honor and pleasure of sitting down with Anika Hinson. And Anika is going to share with us a bit more about her journey at Gartner, her personal and professional passions, and we are so excited to have her here. So, Anika, without further ado, please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, Chantel, it's my honor too. So, my name's Anika, and I've been in sales for almost 20 years now. My journey started at BNY Mellon, where I was in finance, and
Mm,
then that pivoted to me moving to many different sales professions over the years. And
mhm,
I'm currently at Gartner, where I lead a team of client-facing account managers that are
mm.
responsible for one client. And I am also revenue generating, and I'm an individual contributor as well.
Wow. So you have many hats. You are inspiring your team. You're also accomplishing your quota. That makes total sense. And I understand that your career started a few stops ago. From my understanding, you had a career or a sales role in some capacity at Bloomberg, Dow Jones, and now Gartner. So for the women watching, or for anyone watching really, one of the things that we always like to uncover is how did you get into sales? What attracted you to this job? What do you think about yourself makes you want to work in this type of industry?
Yeah, I'm really drawn to solving complex problems and building relationships.
Mhm,
And I was doing that when I was at the bank. Um, I actually started working for the general counsel because I noticed a problem with the contract system. They did not have a contract management system. And when I was trying to do research, I could never find things. So I
mm,
stopped him in the hallway and
mhm,
I was like, "Hi, sir, you don't know me, but you have this problem. And I think there's ways that you can solve it. And it wouldn't just be solving it for me, it'd be solving it for the whole organization." And within 3 weeks, he hired me to lead this and then also to um, manage his entire budget. This was around the time when
mm.
regulation was getting more strict. So Dodd-Frank was coming on board. And so I started doing that. And I met our Bloomberg sales rep who introduced me to a sales role and said, "I would really love for you to meet the head of our new division where we're starting up a legal sales product." And so I kind of fell into it where I talked to the head of the group and he was kind of asking me questions about what I was passionate about. And I realized the things that I love to do are things that I could do every day in different ways and I could get compensated for it well.
So if I can run that back, you were working in the bank, and what was that position?
So I was the legal vendor manager and contract manager.
Okay, so you were on the other side.
Yes.
So you were a buyer
Yes.
and you found a product that you believed that would support the organization's goals and help it with its objectives, right?
Yes.
And you advocated for that to
To the
was
general
that
counsel,
person your boss or
my boss.
your boss
Yeah.
directly? And they appreciated your initiative so much, they gave you a new job. Is that right?
Yes.
And then did you purchase is the product from Bloomberg that you purchased?
No, so this was a homegrown system that we built, but we're using
Mm.
Bloomberg to partner and get a lot of the systems in place.
Okay, so you were interacting with Bloomberg directly to support this shift.
Yes.
And your partner or the salesperson at Bloomberg thought that you were so great that they wanted you to be in sales at Bloomberg.
Yes.
That is actually fascinating. That in so many ways. I mean, what are the it's I know you said that you fell into it, but you've had multiple people notice your brilliance in so many different scenarios, right? When you're on the buyer side and the seller side, very rarely do I don't think I've ever as a buyer, for my organization, given that type of compliment to another uh person on the other side of the table, like, oh, you should work in sales
Yeah.
here.
And
Mm,
I think I was young enough not to know
mm,
what the proper protocol was. So I kept
mhm.
just trying to figure out a problem, and I was tenacious, both for the bank and for Bloomberg. So it wasn't that
Sure.
I was
Yeah.
selling something for them, but
Mhm.
it was the curiosity and
Mm,
the audacity to not shrink myself. In
right.
those moments where I was a junior analyst that ran into the general counsel and was like, "Hey, I'm raising my hand here. I need some of your time because I want to solve this problem." And that boldness is what got me that job. But then that same boldness is what attracted me to Bloomberg and where that team was really heavily recruiting me to come over to a role that I'd never even thought of.
Right.
Sales isn't something that when you grow up, unless you have parents that are in sales, you're like, oh yeah, I want to be a salesperson.
Yep.
I want to be in B2B sales. It's not something
Mhm.
that was on my path or even something that I really understood.
Mhm. Mhm. What did your parents do?
So my father was a police officer, and then
Uh-huh.
he turned into an entrepreneur.
Mm,
And he started his own business. And my mother was a school teacher.
mm. So, to your point, it was not in your universe.
Not at all.
Mm. Well, amazing what you've been able to do and how you've been able to use your boldness to move through these really complex and highly competitive organizations, especially like you said, as a junior analyst at the time. It's incredible. I hope you get a chance to reflect on that.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so at Gartner here, you mentioned that you have your own quota and you're going out and you're penetrating uh, penetrating your own account. Is that right?
Yes.
And also supporting the members on your team. So day to day, maybe can you share with us what does that look like? Is it 50% one-on-ones with your team and people managing, 50% client work? How do you set up your day for people that are curious about moving into a player coach role?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it really is about setting up my day properly and preparing.
Mhm,
Otherwise, my day will take me wherever it goes. So
mhm,
I do really focus on starting with how am I supporting my team? Because my team also has a quota, and I want to make sure that they have the resources that they need. So that is where I spend 50% of my time.
mhm,
The other 50% is making sure that I am partnering and delivering value to the executives, which are my clients, as often as possible in order to generate revenue. And so really it is looking for where they're headed, where their industry is headed. How can I provide value and align the right resources at Gartner so that they continue to invest in us?
Can you maybe give me an example of a client touch point? Obviously, you don't have to share the specifics of the client, but for someone that may be wondering, what does it mean to provide value to a client?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that Gartner does is they arm their sales team very well with insight and information so
Mhm,
that they can be dangerous in these conversations. I'm not an expert. I am not going to walk them step by step through a cloud migration, but I am going to understand it enough to ask the right questions and align that support. So one of the resources that they put out is Voice of a Customer. And it talks about how so many clients are going through the cloud migration and what are some of the missteps. So when you're approaching your client with a here's what the industry is saying about a problem,
mhm,
is that something you're seeing in your organization today? Where are you in your journey? So asking questions and being curious, and that helps them lean in to say, yes, that's exactly what we're faced with right now. Or I hadn't thought of that. We're about two steps behind that. Tell me more because I want to be prepared so that I'm not wasting time or wasting money. And that opens up conversations to say, who's leading that initiative? How can we partner with them? And how can we get them the support that they need from Gartner.
I think that's a fascinating and very important point. When you come to a client with perspective, that they may not be able to glean on their own, like you mentioned, Gartner is very resourced, has done a lot of the legwork to understand futuristic trends where digital transformation is going, where cloud is going, and maybe your end user or your buyer, that may only be a part of their job to do that deep research, and you get to bring almost like a free concepts and perspectives to them as a part of helping them understand your expertise. And I think that's wonderful. And I think it's very important that that sellers take the time to understand the world that their buyers are in, even more than their buyers have the opportunity to understand for themselves.
Yeah.
And what better place to be able to provide real life example of that than at Gartner when you're bringing them those insights.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense to me. Um, so tell me more about winning the Eagle Award and the way that Gartner perhaps comes up with these awards or what it means to have this award. How do you feel what do you feel you did to win this award? Tell me
Yeah.
more about this, because from what I understand, it is the highest sales honor.
It is, and I was really honored to win this award. So at Gartner, you have your quota. And if you meet that quota, you likely get a raise of some sort. There's, certain honor in that. And then the next level is winner circle. And that's a percentage above your quota. And that affords you a trip where you and all of the other salespeople that have achieved that honor go on this trip and you're celebrated. And then Eagle, you get extra special things on that trip. And that is kind of the most prestigious honor because you have sold well far and above your quota and above the winner circle number. In my role, it is extremely hard to attain that because you are both coaching your team to get them
Mhm.
to their number or to exceed their number, and then you essentially have to more than double that for yourself. So
Mm.
it is a significant amount of revenue that you have brought into the organization. Um, I started the year by saying, well, even before that, I was prepping for the year in the final quarter of
Mhm.
the previous year. And I said, I want to win the Eagle Award. And it wasn't just that everyone says it, right? But it was how am I going to execute on this? And so
Right.
it was a ton of preparation. So I had to get really clear and granular on what my goals are.
Mhm.
What do my days look like? How can I make sure that I'm laser focused on driving value and bringing in revenue month over month? And then that also meant prioritizing and saying no to things that weren't aligned with that. And so that is a very hard thing to do because you want to help others, and there's always someone that will reach out and say, "Do you have some time?" And yes, absolutely, make time for people. But if it doesn't align with what you set out for your day, then you have to find another time for it.
So can I ask you, can you give me an example of what does it mean to go granular with those daily activities?
Yeah. So I had spreadsheets that kind of listed how many calls was I going to make? How much time was I going to spend doing research? How much time was I going to spend crafting um, emails to the right people? How was
Mm.
I, what do my proposals look like? How can I make sure that those are clean and tight and aligned to what the client needs? It is
Mm.
a level of perfection where perfect can be the enemy of good, but there is a level of preparation and perfection that you need to do to be able to achieve it because you have to keep going daily to make sure that you are reaching those revenue targets. and preparing for and prepping with my team, with my leader to say, how do I handle these objections? Think of every objection that can come, and how do I keep moving these deals forward and making them bigger?
I appreciate you sharing that. I think that when it comes to sales, there is a misconception that it's based upon your charisma or based upon your personality type only. But some of the most successful saleswomen, salespeople, are the ones that have a daily system that they stick to and have the discipline required to do those actions despite how they may be feeling that day. And I think that is wonderful. And I appreciate you sharing that with us because while I think you can first hear that and think, oh my gosh, that's a lot of preparation, that's a lot of meticulous detail, you can also hear that means everything is within my control. That means if I take the time to reach out to X amount of people, send very crystal clear proposals, it's only a matter of time before I get those results.
Yeah.
And it feels less personal
Yeah.
and more so systemic.
Yes.
So I think that's really great. And I appreciate that. Now, on a personal level, you're a mom of four and a yoga teacher. So I get the 9 to 5 now. How are you doing the personal side while also managing, your Gartner career?
Yeah. Burnout is real. And I've
Mhm,
I've experienced that when I didn't pour into myself and do the things
mhm,
that I love, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And so I I had to get intentional also about my personal life,
mm,
and really what the life I wanted, what does that look like?
mm,
And so being a mom of four, I could have let their schedule just dictate my evenings. And I
mm,
support them and make sure that they're everywhere they need to be, but I also use my resources. So we
mhm,
carpool, right? We have other moms or dads that are picking up the kids and taking them places so that we're sharing that resource so that I
mhm.
can do the thing that fulfills me and helps ground me, which is yoga. And I found it. I practiced yoga on and off for many years, but then about 7 years ago, I got really serious and I studied it and I started teaching it. And it's something that just brings me joy and it really grounds me and helps me be the best version of myself.
That's amazing. That is amazing. I was looking at your background. I was like, is that a bat? Is that a baseball bat behind you?
Oh, it is. It's one of the awards. It's funny. I usually don't have my awards presented behind me because when I'm having conversations, um, sometimes I don't want clients to focus on that. I want us to focus on the conversation. And that
Yeah.
is a bet because if you have I can't remember the exact dollar amount, but a large dollar amount deal, like you knocked it out of the park, you get a bat from Gartner and it tells the client's name and it tells the revenue amount. And so that's one of the bets that I have.
I love that. One of the things that we've been exploring at SIS, as we gear up for our large conference in the fall is motivation beyond compensation. And so a bit of a curveball, no pun intended, but what motivates what is one of your motivators? And for us, it could be a lot of things. And I know for me, um, feeling recognized is important. Is that the same for you?
Yeah. So I do love recognition in the
Mm,
sense that people see the work that you put in to get
mhm.
the result. So are there also ways that you can recognize people along the journey? Because that's where people get stuck, right? Is if when things are hard, are there ways that you can support people to make
Right.
sure that they keep going? And so I try to do that for my team.
True.
So even before we get to the finish line, how can we
Mhm,
celebrate this win? How can we celebrate, right, that you got the meeting that you've been trying to get for the last 4 months, or they said, yes, send me a proposal. Like, what does
mhm.
that look like? Because if for 3 months you've been asking and they said nothing, that can be discouraging. And you
Yeah.
might give up, and oftentimes you give up right before you get to that small win.
Mhm.
So I love recognition in that sense. And then compensation, of course, we are salespeople, we are driven by being compensated well. But then
Mhm.
there's also something about the celebration,
Mhm.
because it shows other people that they can also achieve this. Um, if they follow a system, if they follow best practices. Because I love what you said, Chantel, before, where people often think it's about personality or charisma. And I agree, the best salespeople really hone in on their process and they really take time to understand and solve a problem versus just relying on their relationship or their charm.
1,000%. They say hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard.
Yes.
So, I love it, and again, like, controlling your output is freeing, and,
Yep.
it lets you just go and invest in your personal life because you're not soaking or letting yourself get sucked into your personality being your driver of success 100% of the time. You kind of, do what's required to get where you need to go. I think my last question for you, or my last couple of questions, um, is about coming into sales at Gartner. Can you give us a couple of things that the SIS community should reflect on when considering a career at Gartner?
Yeah, Gartner is often seeking out high performing salespeople.
Mm,
So there are a few entry points into Gartner, and one of them is in what they call their mid-sized division, and that's for people that are first starting out in their career. Um, and that's a great way to enter into Gartner. But as a more senior salesperson, they're always looking for high-performing individuals that are collaborative and are always looking to evolve their best practices. At Gartner, we have many best practices that we share, that we, live by. But
mm,
what's the evolution of that? How can you do better? How can you improve a process? How can you learn something new and implement it? And so that curiosity and that lifelong learner, those are the people that will thrive at Gartner. And those are the people that enjoy being at Gartner.
mm. What about executive presence? And would you say that is an important thing to have coming to
Yes.
Gartner?
Yes. So majority of our clients are executives or the teams that are supporting them. So
Mm,
you're interacting with other high achievers, other driven people.
mm,
And so to be able to command a room, to be able to speak with authority, to be able to understand challenges and not solve them. We're not looking for salespeople that can solve all of these challenges, but understand it to connect them with either the right resource or the
mm,
right expert is invaluable. And so you do have to have a level of executive presence, but that's something that you can learn. That's something that
okay.
right? It's not innate. It's not okay because you have charisma, you have it, but it is something
Sure.
that you can hone that skill. Um, and I've seen people that have evolved into really being able to command a room, and when they first started, they were unsure of themselves. So
Mm.
there's a lot of power in really just working on the skills that will make you successful.
So I feel like the theme of this conversation is it's within your control. Your output, your polishing, your ability to communicate effectively are all skills you can learn so that you can be the best version of yourself in this setting, which I think is very powerful, especially if you may be feeling discouraged, hopeless. Take control of your own outcomes and your own results, and take a page from your book, which I think is very, very valuable. In my last question to you, one piece of wisdom that you wish you had earlier in your sales career, what would it be?
Yeah. I would say don't shrink to fit into rooms.
Mhm.
Reshape them so that they make room for you, because everyone has their own unique perspective. And oftentimes we are put in situations where we think we need to shrink, where we think we need to fit in a box. And instead, you should find the box that you can break open. You should find the opportunities where you can shine and be yourself, because that's where you're going to thrive.
I think that's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. It means a lot to have you here. Um, so I would like to formally thank you again for your insights and for reiterating the benefits of a sales career at Gartner. I would also like to remind our audience and listeners to visit the job board to find out more information about Gartner and their website. And I appreciate your time again, Anika. And I hope you have an amazing day. And thank you for spending your time with us this morning.
Thank you, Chantal. It's been my absolute pleasure.